Raid Shadow Legends, that's right. StewGaming wants to do a very detailed and comprehensive tier list of every champion in the game. So if you don't know, Chofly Mobile does this very often. He has a tier list and he actually just did a video. The title says how he ranks his champions. Now I haven't watched it yet. I don't want it to skew my thoughts on how I'm going to do my own tier list and how I'm going to rank my champions. But I can tell you, what I want to do is break it down into everything in the game. I want to break it down per clan boss, ice golems, dragons, you name it. We want to break it down for what the champions are good for, arena, everything else in the game. Also, I want to have a section for special teams because that's very important. I want to have a section for carries in the game, and by carries, I mean people like Captain Tamela, Rear Guard Sergeant, Nazana, Molly Tankard, the new Umbral Enchantress, things that help their team get through the waves to get to the boss and get things done, right? To progress in the game. Also, we need to think about, and this isn't something we're going to have on an Excel spreadsheet or anything, but it's about total, your account assessment, like your account rating of the champions you have, and we'll talk about that in just a second. So special teams, to give you an idea of what I'm talking about with special teams, right now it is very easy to two-key, well, I wouldn't say easy. If you have the champions, it's easy, right? If you have the champions, it's pretty easy to two-key Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss and to one-key Nightmare Clan Boss with this team comp. Skull Crusher, Valkyrie, Grizzled Jarl, and Rosin Scarhide. Now, how the team works is that Skull Crusher is miles ahead of Martyr. You would not put Martyr in this team comp. So within this team comp, Skull Crusher is rated way higher than Martyr. Now, that's just within this team comp. Now, I don't think we need to do additional rating systems maybe for clan boss for that, but we do want to put side notes and we do want to put team comps in there so people know that if they have these champions, they can use these teams to easily get things done. And you don't even need speed. All you need is speed lower than the Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss of 170 to 183. So it's very easy. You get it set up, you hit auto, and then before you know it, Grizzled Jarl is blocking the stuns, and then every wave, the AoE hit, you have Valkyrie blocking one AoE hit with her high defense, and she does shields on everybody, HP shields. So the HP shield is going to absorb that damage, and you're going to last longer. And then the next AoE hit, you have Skull Crusher doing shared damage in the Unkillable buff, which is again going to make your team last longer. And in that situation, you cannot sub in Martyr. You can use Martyr, of course. But in that situation, for this team comp to work, to get you more damage, you would not sub in Martyr. Martyr is not optimal for that team, which is really crazy, right? So you would never think about that in that type of situation. And you might have Skull Crusher always rated lower than Valkyrie or Martyr, right? So those are the situations that I'd like to cover and also have in my guide. Now, there are also going to be things in there about carries because I love carries in this game. I love the Molly Tankards. I love the Umbral Enchantresses. I love the Rear Guard Sergeants, Captain Tamela, the Nazanas, the ones that can take those teams and really carry people into those dungeons, right? They have problems with waves. Their people are dying. But these individual champions can really get them further in the game and help them out. And there's a lot, like Arbiter. Arbiter can resurrect all your people in the game. She is super strong. Probably one of the best legendaries in the game all around. Like all around, one of the best legendaries and most used legendaries. Of course, because she can be obtained easily and because she's void in everything that she does. But carries in the game, like Molly Tankard, they can tank everybody, taunt, provoke everybody each wave, are also a big tier list that I'd like to do for where they're best at and who the number one is. That way, if people have them on their roster, they'll know what's our best. And what I mean by individual account assessment, this isn't anything that we can write down in a guide, but people do need to be aware of their individual account assessment. So I just recently pulled Trunda, and for me, she's not that great, right? For me, she is not fantastic. But if I had this just Trunda, along with Apothecary, Kale, and Rear Guard Sergeant on my account, those would be the 4 top people that I would use no matter what. Now, even though she might not be super high in a tier list, she's still super high for your account because she's not a bad champion at all. She does have the AoE stun on a 5-turn cooldown. You don't have to book her out. Which is really fantastic. But I also have Miscreated Monster that does an AoE stun at a 50% chance on a 3-turn cooldown and does shields. and he might hit just as hard as her. I don't know. I'd have to compare them. She is an attack based, so she's not going to be as sturdy as he is because he's HP based and he does all his damage based off of HP. So those are just, but for this account, you have to look at your account and really know that, hey, even though this person might not be really high on a tier list, they are still a really solid champion and really good for you to gear up and use on your team along with your apothecary, your Kale, and your rear guard sergeant. So just keep that in mind when we're going over things. So as you know, somebody like Hegemon would be very high in an arena tier list, right? He would be super high in an arena tier list, but where would you put him in an all general tier list? And that's kind of what I want to do away with. I don't want a generalized tier list. I want to do a specific tier list for each thing in the game. So of course we'd have Hegemon very high in the arena tier list, but maybe not very high in a lot of the dungeon tier lists. It just depends. We'll have to see where he fits in. We'd have somebody like Vizier, who is very good in the clan boss for just extending a crazy amount of debuffs. Of course, would be top tier in a clan boss tier list. But everywhere else, you know, he might be pretty mediocre. We might not have him that high in those tier lists. So it's a lot of things. It's a big project to take on. So there might be people out there who have already done this, who have an Excel spreadsheet with a lot of this information on there. If they do, that's great. Contact me on Discord. We will go over this. But I'd really like to get into where these champions are best at. Like, where is Martyr best at? Where does she rank in each of these areas? Where do people have? That way, if they have somebody like a Royal Guard. Royal Guard in game is crazy, crazy good. In the right teams, he can just go through there and make speed runs just so much easier for everybody, right? Cold Heart is fantastic for spiders. Everybody knows. She's fantastic for Fire Knight. Okay, everybody knows. She's still really good also if you have a great team for doing keeps. She can speed run through keeps with people. So there are a lot of areas in the game. Also, I'd kind of like to put side notes in there of whether you need heavy gear or not. Nothing too detailed, but maybe on the gear requirement, we could put like low, high, medium, something like that, so people know that they can go in there and not have to either put in a crazy amount of gear to make them effective, but they do know, of course, that if you have that in-game gear, they will, of course, be optimized and be very good for that, but we can kind of give them a little scale to let them know whether it's good or not. So it's really big. I don't know how we're going to do this. I don't know what kind of Excel spreadsheets. I guess in the beginning, it's probably just easiest to do it as in, oh yeah, also, I didn't show you guys. Let me show you my my new shirt. Look at my new merch I got from them. We got a little extra swag from the guys over at Polarium, and in the back of this shirt, it has our affinity. In the back of my neck here, we've got the affinity here, and we've got shirts like this. So I think that's pretty cool. We got Aethel here. And the coolest thing is that my son has the shirt on and my daughter has the shirt on right now because they sent me some kid sizes. So all three of us have a shirt on. We need to do a portrait. So again, sorry to break into that in the middle of this. So to go into my all tier list of everything, it's going to be a lot of work. It's going to be a really lot of work. And it's going to be an ever evolving thing because we have new champions come out. We have new comps that come out. Again, talking about that Ultra Nightmare Clan Boss comp, that if you have those champions, that it's very effective and very easy to do. And it's in a situation where Skull Crusher is miles ahead of Martyr and what you're needing to do in that, right? What his actual job and role is within that Martyr can't fill. So she wouldn't be high necessarily. She'll be high still on a Clan Boss tier list, of course, but within that comp, she is not higher than Skull Crusher. Skull Crusher is actually better than her, and Grizzled Jarl fills a role in there that not a lot of other people can do, and it make that team synergy and make that to where it's just an amazing team. And therefore, Grizzled Jarl might not be very high up on another list. So just tons of things to think about, tons of things to do. So if anybody wants to help me out, please get a hold of me on Discord. And that's kind of what I want to go toward and do for all these champions in the game, as well as, because you know when you go in there and you fight somebody like the Ice Golem, right? You need attack down on the boss. It really helps out. It's good to have on dragons as well. It's good to have in a lot of places, but really in Ice Golems you need it. So people who would be very high tier rated in Ice Golems would be Madame Cirrus, Padma, Maneater, because Maneater also has block debuffs. Even Seducer is very good in Ice Golems, 20 depending on what you have. So there are a lot of things we need to consider and think about to put on the list, right? It really is a big kind of thing to take on because there are so many different good champions out there. but I think it would be really good. I think it'll be really good for anybody who has any questions and who wants to look at a tier list that really focuses on not just overall, hey, is this a godly champion, right? Is this a champion that's just gonna, I get it, and I think it's gonna do well in a lot of places. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, there are champions that are rated really high that do decent in some places, but they're not really like, oh my god, I got this champion, now I win the game. I can do clan boss, I can do arena, I can do all ice golems, fire knights, and all that kind of stuff. It really doesn't work that way, and there really isn't champions out there that are just super fantastic for everything. Most champions have their places, and that's kind of what you want to focus on, where they're best at, where they really do well at. So that's what I want to do. Again, just talking to you guys, giving you my ideas of how I want to do my tier list. So that's really all I've got. Thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all on a video soon.